Hello, and welcome to Every Day is Funny. I'm your host, Adam Oppenheimer, ADDIO for short. And I want to start today by, first off, thanking anybody who listened to the first episode yesterday, sent feedback, got a lot of nice comments. People seem to like the premise of the show. A lot of people seem to think, though, that I should be getting to the comics faster. It seems the ramblings of a random man pale in comparison to actually thought out and illustrated content. So I'll get to the comics in just a second. One thing I noticed, though, in setting up this show, I had to start an Instagram page to have a place to post episodes, promote the show. And I noticed in my feed a lot of faith-based content. Now, perhaps this is because of the meditative nature of the show or something I put in the description, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff about Jesus' return, which, if it happens, great. I think we'd all be better off. But I don't really think that's the kind of show this is. Unless he does come back and he wants to guest on this show, because that'd probably be the biggest pull. That would really help the numbers. Well, maybe it'd help the numbers. I wonder how many shows Jesus could be interviewed on before his presence doesn't bring in viewership anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's, all right, this is the 10th appearance he did in a week. He was on Fallon last night. I don't think he has much more to say. He's kind of saturated his own market, so to speak. I don't know. But that's not the kind of show this is. I want it to be meditative, and I want to be vulnerable, and I want to express gratitude. But I still may be pointing out annoying stuff. I'm going to call it taking meditative aim at something. Like, yesterday, I was taking a walk by the water, and I walked by a boat that was coming the other direction. And there were two adults on the boat in the back, just laying down, kind of sunbathing. And they were waving at all the people on land. And I gotta tell you, I didn't care for it. They're creating some sort of obligation that just because we're on land and they're on sea, we have some obligation to wave back. I understand waving if it's a child and they're excited to be on a boat because that's a different environment for them. But you know what an adult waving from the back of a boat to everyone symbolizes? It's just them saying, hey, look at this. I'm on a boat and you're not. And I don't really appreciate the classism there. So I just wanted to say that. Let's get into the comics. Now, to start off, I want to start a bit differently than yesterday. As you know, as I've mentioned, the premise of this show is to discuss comic strips, but I never said comedy only. Unless I did and forgot, in which case, mea culpa. But what I thought would be great to add to the lineup is a serious comic strip with a storyline, because that might get listeners of this show coming back, if there's that through line, just to see what happens day to day. Check in with a regular cast of characters, if you will. And I think I found the perfect strip for this. I was looking yesterday, and there seems to be a very long-running comic strip called Rex Morgan, MD. It started in 1948. It's still going today. And it's just about a doctor named Rex Morgan and his family. And I love the idea of this. And so let's take a look at today's Rex Morgan, MD comic strip, which, again, I will have linked in the description of the episode. And just before we get into it, I briefly glanced at the past couple of days, because as I said, this is a comic with a through line. At this moment, the story appears to be that the family is dealing with the fact that their dog ate some chocolate and they took it to the vet. And it appears that this has been the storyline for several days now. Because again, these stories just play out bit by bit. And I'm very excited to see what the family is up to today. Rex Morgan, MD. Let's take a look. Okay. So we see Rex Morgan looking at his iPhone. Very modern. And his daughter is... the way they illustrated the daughter's face in this first panel is a little frightening. I would take a look if I were you. But she's reading some sort of magazine, and Rex Morgan says, "Hey, we got a text and photo from the vet." And now the second and final panel is a picture of their dog on the phone. The daughter says, "Let me see." Rex Morgan says, "Seems like Candy's doing just fine." That's the end of the comic. I loved that so much. That is amazing. Just every day getting the smallest slice of life in what's going on with this family. And I'm glad Candy the dog is doing fine. It kind of looks like she took that photo herself from the vet. Wow, this is an amazing comic. This is the kind of thing that makes you grateful to be alive. The fact that you can go online and look at a 2-panel daily comic strip where a family is learning about the status of their dog after eating chocolate. Let's take a look at the comments. And I really want to... We're on Comics Kingdom. I'm, in the future, most likely going to make an account and start posting my own comments. But let's see what the top comment is so far. All right, William Thompson posted 7 hours ago. He was probably staying up every night waiting for these. "Dad, why do her eyes look so glassy? And what are those stitches? And what does it mean about a taxi? What's that big word? Taxidermist. It means she'll have a nice, quiet ride home." That's a little grim, William. The dog is doing fine. And in the meditative spirit of this podcast, I don't think we need this joke negativity about Rex Morgan's family dealing with the grief of the loss of a pet. I understand you want to get your little laughs, but I do believe there's other comics to find that in. Don't take it out on Rex and his family, William. Wow, I am so excited to see what happens to the dog tomorrow. Maybe they'll send another picture. Maybe the dog will get to come home. But if I'm gathering anything from the slowness of Rex Morgan, MD, I feel like this dog's not leaving the vet for another 2 weeks. All right, let's move on to another classic comedy strip, for me at least, growing up. Hagar the Horrible, which is about a Viking and his Viking compatriots. Let's take a look at the latest. Also, let me have a nice sip of coffee while we get this loaded up. I advise you to take a sip too, if you have coffee. I also allow tea. Okay, here we go. 2 Vikings have a dog with them, and they're talking to somebody else with a dog, an angrier looking dog. And the man himself looks a bit angry as well, actually. He looks like a bully. This show doesn't like bullies. But he says he's an attack dog. And the man with the more calm dog replies, "This is a therapy dog." And in the second panel, the attack dog is growling at the therapy dog. And the dog is speaking now. The dog says, "I feel your rage. Tell me about your owner." That's pretty good. First off, a therapy dog in this time period, that's a funny premise. Having the dog speak was very unexpected, at least on my end. I can't quite tell what the situation with a talking dog in this universe is. I can't really tell yet if the humans understand them, if the dog is only communicating with the other dog. Maybe we'll find out in future eps, but I like this one. Nice little flip on the therapy dog premise and the therapy premise in general. Dogs talking about their owners. It's nice, I like it. Also, there's only one comment on this one. Let's see what it is. Sit, Ubu, sit, good dog. Pretty good comment. It's from Bill Benny. Thanks, Bill. All right, I think we will wind down. That is the second ep of Every Day is Funny, April 30th. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Again, if there's any comments about the show, concerns, criticisms, comics I should check out, please email them to everydayisfunnyshow@gmail.com. I'm also currently working on getting this show on various podcast platforms, so I will be keeping you posted as those come to fruition. Again, thank you for listening. This is Adio, and I'll see you tomorrow.